Over here on the left, this is all digitally created. I made a square box. It's colored light green. On top of the square box, I set a capital A letter and type. The typeface is Lithos, designed by Carol Twomley. It's a beautiful calligraphic typeface. I like to use it a lot. And other than the A on top of the colored rectangle, there is no interaction between the two. It's not a very dynamic design. We've seen it a lot throughout our lives as a way of creating an initial letter, and it's almost become invisible. So what can we do to make it more interesting? Moving on to the next example up here, you can see I have set the capital letter A a little bit larger, quite a bit larger actually, and I have rotated it onto its edge so that the top edge, now the right leg of the A, creates the top edge of the rectangle. Directional changes are one way of creating interest in any graphic design. The right side of the rectangle is created using the bottom of the A as the guide, and the left leg of the A, the very, very bottom of the left leg of the A, provides a stopping point and the starting point for that side of the rectangle. And on the last side of the rectangle, I stop just short of enclosing the apex of the A. I wanted to leave that apex of the A sticking out a little bit. I'll talk about that in a moment. So we have lots of things going on with this design already. Number one, the rotation. Number two, the typeface is heavy and black, and it is a completely different form of writing or communicating with these small letters here. These are all hand done. This is type. These are small letters. They're much lighter looking than this heavy letter over here. And that creates a certain contrast and an interest. The rectangle is not completely visible. Even though we're convinced that the rectangle is behind there, what we actually see are three distinct shapes. We see two triangles here, 1, 2, and this shape is sort of an amorphous shape, but it's not too complicated. So, and they're all interacting with the letter A. In the example over here, the green rectangle just serves as an outline, a silhouette of the A. And it's a very complicated shape. There's lots of angles, there's lots of corners and straight lines, and it's just a lot for our eye to find the pattern in there. But these patterns are very simple and identifiable to us. We see the triangles, we see the shape, we see letters we can identify easily, and we see a rectangle, which isn't really there. So we're using our imagination to complete that rectangle. And that is called, in graphic design, there's a word for that, it's called closure. So anytime you can engage the viewer in completing your design, then you have their attention, and the more likely that they are to be receptive to whatever message it is that you're trying to convey. So then finally, this apex of the A, it's pointing. It's a pointing device. And so what it does is takes our eye off the design just for a second so that we can see what might be outside there. What is outside that box? So that also creates a tension and a mystery. And then we come back into the design because most of the letter A is squarely in the box. So the calligraphy over here was hand done. I scanned it in, and other than rotating the A and making it larger, it's the same design as this, only better. Now you can do this with any letter that has a straight edge. It doesn't matter what style the letter is. Find a straight edge and then align the rectangle with that, and you are off and running. And the possibilities are endless. It's really fun to do. What do you do when you have a letter that doesn't have any straight edges? Well, over here we have that situation. We have the rectangle and we have the letter, and they are interacting with one another because you can clearly see that this capital letter G is too big for that box. That more of the G could be visible outside the area of the rectangle. It's not, but it could be. So the viewer sees that, and the viewer can complete the missing parts, the little slivers of the outside edges. So that's simply all you need to do to have a contrast between round and rectangle, provide some sort of closure in the design, and then the color. So the capital G is colored with a nice warm brown gouache, which is a opaque watercolor. The inside of the rectangle is colored with transparent watercolor and in a pale salmon. And the border surrounding the rectangle is also in watercolor, transparent watercolor in a pale chartreuse.